Thank you for tuning in to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast, a no judgment zone podcast that covers lifestyle, entertainment, news, and sports. Even though KC doesn't watch sports, but these are minor details. By the way, he reads tarot cards too. Yes, I really mean it. He reads tarot cards too. And now, the host you've tuned in for, KC Phoenix.
Welcome back to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast. I, of course, am your host, KC Phoenix, and this is my daily thought. Haven't done one of these in a minute. When's the last time I've done a daily thought? Hold on. I'm trying to look. Yeah. I haven't done one since the 17th of March. So, and I can't believe we're already in April. Anyways, before I go any further, KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Now, oh yeah, just a heads up, the wind is doing whatever the wind is doing today, so if you hear that in the background with the window, yeah, it's been kind of windy this morning. So, yeah. All right. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. My thought on that. Interestingly enough, I decided to wait after the whole Oscars thing because I'm not the type of person that as soon as something happens, I jump on the bandwagon and start talking about it, because that's not my style. I like to look, see what other people are saying, assess the situation again, and then come to my own conclusion. With that, I still am not fully convinced that it was not staged. I'm not fully convinced on that. I believe that it being staged is a possibility. If I had to do percentages, I'd probably say 20% or less. It is what I'm thinking about. Maybe it could have been staged. It's one of those things. It's like the Janet Jackson thing with the Super Bowl. Even though I really believe that Janet Jackson didn't mean for that to happen, and her documentary was really, really good. I watched it, as some of you may know. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it during one of my episodes. But the truth is that we'll never truly know. Only Janet and maybe Justin, if he was in on anything, maybe the ones that truly know. I feel this is one of those situations, because when I was looking at one angle, it was like, oh wow, he did, okay. But then I looked at another angle when it happened, and I was like, that looks very Hollywoodish. Is what I was picking. I'm like, that doesn't seem like that was real. So it's kind of but let's just remove all of that. All right, because my thing is Will and Jada. So many people talk about Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. I don't follow celebrities that much because I don't care. I will say this. I know what their situation is, in the sense of me being on the outside looking in and picking up the energy of what their relationship is. And speaking from an energy point, if this is your first time listening to me, I deal with intuition and stuff, tarot card readings, things like that, in addition to the other things that I do. And the energy that I picked up from Will and Jada is that they are karmics. That is what they are. And I believe that Jada may even know that. I believe Will may be in denial about that. And for those who don't know what karmics are, karmic, like karmic, karma. With karmics, they're different from soulmates, which your karmic could be your soulmate, but that's not really what they're there for. Your karmic is someone who comes into your life to teach you more about yourself and to help you grow. Usually, a karmic is supposed to be in your life for a season. It's rare that a karmic would be, or let me say, it's rare that a karmic should be in someone's life for a lifetime. And learning more about yourself, helping you grow in doing that. And some people might say, well, KC, that's what marriage is about. Marriage is about growing old together and learning about each other and all this stuff. No. I'm talking about a karmic. A karmic is like, that is their purpose. When they cross your time, when your karmic crosses your timeline, their purpose is to help you develop as an individual and learn certain lessons in life. Now, some people can get stuck with their karmics because they are not learning the lesson or lessons. And if you're not learning the lesson, one thing that may happen is a tower moment, which the tower is in the tarot deck, which everything falls, you have to start from scratch, and then you may move on to someone else, blah, 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 and go on to another lesson to help you learn. Or another thing may happen where the cycle has to repeat because you didn't learn the lesson. I believe that there were a few opportunities for Will to learn the lesson, and he hasn't learned it yet. Therefore, the cycle continues to repeat. And I believe that's where ego comes in. And ego is not a bad thing. If you've listened to my podcast for my longtime listeners, you already know I fully endorse a healthy ego. The only time an ego is a problem is when you don't know you have an ego. That's when it's a problem. But if you know you have an ego and you recognize that and you can call yourself to the carpet because of your ego, you're good. Will's ego may be keeping him from realizing that Jada is his karmic. And that's honestly what I believe the situation is. She was brought into his life, his timeline, to help him learn more about himself and to help him grow as a person. I don't believe she was brought in his timeline to be with him for his entire life. I just don't. I'm not picking up that energy. You know, and for those who like Will Smith and Jada Smith, this isn't a dig at them. I do not have, what's that saying? A dog in this hunt or whatever. Take your pick. You know, I am not invested in this relationship. Whether it works out or whether it doesn't work out, I'll still be KC Phoenix and I'll still be black tomorrow. It's all good. So it's whatever. I'm just telling you, based off of the energy, that I really feel they're karmics. And like I said, I believe Jada, if she doesn't know that, she probably has a feeling. I'd be shocked if she didn't. As for Will is part, going back to the ego thing, I really feel like Will is like, I want this to work. I'm going to make this work. Regardless of all of the stuff that may happen in this relationship that is brought in to help him learn more about himself and to help him grow as an individual. It's almost like he's not focused on the growing as an individual. He's focused on holding the marriage together. Because I feel like that is his thing. He wants to hold the marriage together so he can say, yes, I held it together through thick and through thin, you know, through sickness and health, for better or worse, blah, 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 all of that stuff. I feel like that is where his energy is at. Instead of his energy being focused on, okay, what type of growth is happening here? Have we plateaued, and is it time to go our separate ways? Is this relationship, this karmic relationship, bringing me more pain than it is bringing me more joy? Is there an uneven balance? Because when you have a relationship where it is not balanced, if it's bringing you more pain instead of joy, and don't get me wrong, there will always be pain and joy in a relationship because that is balance. You can't have it an extreme of one or the other. That is never good. But him realizing that, oh wow, this has really done a number on me. When he's able to say, you know what, I don't need to endure this, if he's enduring something. Because again, we don't know. We don't know Will Smith. We don't know Jada Pinkett Smith. We're on the outside looking in. I'm on the outside looking in, going by the energy. Based off of the energy, I feel that Will Smith has endured a lot. Even if this was staged. Even if it was staged. The energy that I pick up from him is that it's... I don't know if it's about pleasing Jada. I don't want to call him a people pleaser. That's not it. It's almost like he needs approval. And I know some people are saying, well, people pleasing is the same thing. Not necessarily. It's almost like he wants the approval of people. And I believe that one of the lessons that he may have to learn, or the universe is attempting to teach him, is that, hey, you don't need anyone's approval. The only approval you need is the divine, and that's it. Period. Full stop. That's where it stops at. The only approval you need is the divine. You don't need anyone else's approval. Everyone else's approval is whatever. I mean, yeah, if you approve, great. Yeah, good for you. All right. Yay. Okay. All right. But really, the only approval that you need is the divine. If the divine approves, you're good. That's the person you want favor with. Everyone else, it's just icing on the cake if you want to go there. But I feel he's searching for approval, maybe even validation to a certain degree. I don't know. Like, there may have been something that happened to him when he was younger. And again, I'm just going by the energy. There may have been something that happened to him while he was younger, where maybe there was someone who didn't give him approval, that the approval that he was looking for, and he feels like he might have failed that person. I also feel like there may have been a situation with one of his relationships, and again, I don't know Will Smith, I'm just going by the energy. I feel like there may be a situation where with one person, the relationship didn't go the way he hoped it would have, and that person is no longer with us, and he was never able to get that closure that he needed, that confirmation that everything was okay with that individual, that they were good. I feel like there's some of that there too. But with Jada, first of all, Jada's a Virgo. Virgos are it's a very interesting sign. They're very interesting signs. They can be judgy at times. But also with Virgos, they can be fair for the most part, and they're very intelligent too. And they don't really mince their words. They can come off as an air sign, actually, at times, when it comes to how they communicate with others. They can be very nourishing under the right circumstances. The energy that I'm picking up is that the nourishing side of Jada is not on, what's the word? Not on command. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's not readily available. Thank you. The nourishing side of Jada is not readily available to Will because Will has not met the criteria in her mind for him to receive that type of nourishment from her, that type of energy. And I feel that it's a possibility he may never meet that criteria to receive that type of nourishment that she has available to give to him and that he also wants from her. Because again, they're karmics. I really feel they are karmics. I do not feel they're soulmates at all. I feel they're karmics. They're there to teach each other lessons. More her to teach him a lesson than him to teach her. But also he's there to teach her some lessons too. But it's going to be interesting if the time ever comes where it changes. I mentioned this before in one of my daily thoughts or what have you, where it's like I was talking about Vampire Diaries, which I love Vampire Diaries. I could watch that series like 20 times. And when Stefan and Elena were falling out because Elena decided not to be with Stefan anymore, and Stefan just went in on her one day. And she was like, Stefan, why are you acting like this? She's like, this isn't you. And Stefan was like, how would you know? You've never known me when I'm not in love with you. And I honestly feel there may come a time when a switch flips with Will. He learns his lesson. And then things change a little bit. And Jada's like, wait a minute. Who are you? And it's like that switch flipped. He's not necessarily in love with her anymore. And then that'll probably be when she's like, oh, please stay or whatever. Because honestly, I feel like what this has been is that Jada would have been fine if there was a divorce. She would have been fine with it. If Will would have came in one day and said, you know what, Jada, I want a divorce previously, then she probably would have been fine with it. There may have been some times where she was like, I want a divorce. And Will was like, can we just work this out? Let's do this. Let's do that. Everything else. But I really feel that if she were to pick up the energy that, oh, wow, he's really like about to just leave and not deal with me and give me the energy he's been giving me, something in her might change, and then she might be running after him. And then that could be a twin flame relationship, which is a whole nother bowl of wax. But I honestly believe they're karmics. That's really what I believe their situation is. I hope it works out. It's crazy because I was reading something about the whole situation that went down where she was saying that, oh, well, I'm not a woman who needs to be defended. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. You know, but she was making that face. And if it wasn't staged, I understand that she was going through what she was going through. But if I were her, I would have went straight to the microphones right after the Oscars. Right, as soon as we left the Oscars, because I mean, she's Jada Pinkett Smith. So I would have went right to the microphones because they would have asked, like, how did you feel about that Chris Rock joke? I would be like, I thought it was funny, and I love to do a G.I. Jane 2 sequel. Because what they could do, just throwing it out there, is Obviously you can have her going through, for those who haven't seen G.I. Jane, it's about a woman who's the first woman. It's like an experiment to become a Navy SEAL. And it's really good. Demi Moore was in the first one. The movie's like 20 years old, 25 years old, something like that. I think it came out in 97. And whatever, she gets through the training. Spoiler alert. But instead of being the person going through the training, she could be the first woman to be the Master Chief. What's his name? Vigo, whatever his name is. He's a good actor. He's also the guy who played in Lord of the Rings, the king. The main king character, Return of the Kings, who didn't want to take the throne and all that stuff, but finally he decided to step up. But yeah, she could be the Master Chief, like the first female Master Chief. Demi Moore could do a cameo. They could have lunch together, all that other stuff. I mean, there's a script there. In Hollywood, if I see any of this showing up, I want my check. By the way, run me my money. Just saying. But there's a script there. She could have went to the microphones and then just threw something out there, put it into the universe and spoken into existence. And before she knows it, someone may be contacting her saying, Jada, would you be interested in doing a G.I. Jane sequel and playing the first female Master Chief? In doing that? So, I mean, it's just all about how you handle things. Also, people have to learn how to laugh at themselves, too. I really believe that. That's a daily thought for another day. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the whole Will and Jada situation. They're karmics. That is what it is. It's different from Kim and Kanye. I already told you what Kim and Kanye's situation is. They just two different realities. That's what the issue is, and they're not going to work. All right. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn. I feel like I said Amazon Music again at the beginning. Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.